The news of my transfer to the branch office in another city didn't come from a discussion or a private meeting, but as a public announcement. When I walked into the company that morning, every person I passed offered their congratulations. In the office, my mentor, Mark, who was also the company's design director, clapped me on the shoulder, his eyes filled with encouragement. "Leo, you're going out on your own from now on," he said with a proud smile. "Keep pushing forward. I believe in you." I was completely perplexed by his words. "What are you talking about, Mark?" He looked just as shocked as I felt. "You didn't see the announcement in the company chat group? It was sent out this morning." "I was driving and didn't check my phone," I explained as I pulled it out and opened the group chat. I found the notice, zoomed in on the picture, and read each word carefully. A cold sensation crept over me, freezing me in place. "Leo, are you just finding out about this transfer now?" Mark's concerned voice brought me back to reality. "Didn't Clara finalize this after discussing it with you?" I managed an awkward smile, trying to salvage what little dignity I had left. "Oh, she mentioned it in passing when I was busy. I guess I didn't pay much attention." Instinctively, I covered for Clara, but the truth was that this was the first I was hearing of it. All I knew was that another senior designer from our department had initially been chosen for the position. I had no idea why she had suddenly switched it to me. I am a senior designer in the headquarters Research and Development Department, and for the last few years, I have also been Clara's boyfriend. Without any discussion or asking for my consent, she had directly issued a transfer notice, moving me to a branch in a neighboring city to serve as their new design director. While it was technically a promotion and a rare opportunity for my career in the long run, the move completely bypassed the company's standard transfer process. Both personally and professionally, Clara owed me an explanation. But I couldn't reach her for the entire day. Her phone was unreachable, and her assistant politely kept me at a distance. "Clara is on a business trip with a confidential itinerary. I'm sorry, Leo," she said, her voice smooth and practiced. "As a subordinate, I can only comply with orders. Her phone isn't reachable right now either, but rest assured, I will pass on your message as soon as I can contact her." Her skilled evasion was the same tone they used with small business owners trying to get a meeting with Clara. I understood perfectly. She was avoiding me, knowing I would definitely look for her after seeing the notice. Maybe she hadn't figured out how to explain her decision, or perhaps she simply didn't want to deal with me at all, so she made herself scarce. After work, feeling dazed, I returned to our empty home. Just as I walked in, I got a call from a good friend, Harry. He told me he had just seen Clara at a newly opened club owned by one of his relatives. "Could you please ask your relative which room she's in?" I asked, my voice tight. "Thanks. I appreciate it." After hanging up, I immediately hailed a cab and headed to the club, getting the room number from Harry while I was on the way. Standing at the door, I took a deep breath and gripped the doorknob. Twisting it gently, I created a small gap, just enough to hear the conversation inside clearly. "Did you really transfer Leo to the branch office in City C?" That was the voice of Daisy, Clara's childhood friend and a minor shareholder in our group. "Yeah," Clara answered, her tone casual and unconcerned. "Come on, you two have known each other forever. Are you really okay with being apart?" Daisy pressed. After a brief pause, Clara replied carelessly, "Being around all the time got a bit annoying." My hand tightened on the doorknob. "What if he disagrees? Aren't you afraid he'll come to you upset?" Daisy asked. "The branch needs him anyway," Clara said, her voice full of an easy confidence that cut right through me. "He's not the type to neglect the bigger picture for personal feelings. Even if he can't find me now, he'll show up at the new job on Monday." I let out a cold, silent chuckle. Should I feel moved by how well she seemed to know me? She was right. The director at the City C branch had recently been poached by a competitor, leaving the department in chaos. Even if I couldn't get in touch with Clara or hear her explanation, I had already planned to report to the branch next Monday. My sense of responsibility wouldn't let me ignore the disorder there. They needed someone immediately. My plan had been to temporarily hold the position until a suitable replacement was found, and then I would transfer back. Most designers wouldn't refuse such a promotion, but I just wanted to stay by Clara's side. But hearing her say she found me a bit annoying made all the fight go out of me. For the past 2 years, I had sensed Clara's growing irritation with me, but I had only felt a dull disappointment. I kept telling myself that even the most passionate love eventually cools down, that it was normal. We had been together for so long. No one could maintain that level of intense emotion forever. But now, so suddenly and without warning, I lost heart completely. The disappointment that had been building up over time finally reached its peak. In that single moment, I wanted to let go of everything. I didn't want to keep making excuses for her. I couldn't lie to myself anymore. I had to face the reality that Clara didn't love me anymore. She was tired of our relationship. In the end, I didn't step into that room. What explanation did I need now? I didn't want to humiliate myself. I released the doorknob, turned around, and walked away. The following days were incredibly busy. I was occupied with handing over my work at headquarters, completing various transfer procedures, packing my belongings, buying necessities, and shipping boxes. Although the City C branch was smaller, it was in a growth phase, presenting a good opportunity for me to showcase my abilities. I figured I might be there for a long time, maybe even settle down there permanently. I needed to plan thoroughly and prepare everything I might need for this new chapter of my life. On Sunday, I drove to City C by myself. The next morning, I showed up at the branch office right on time and was immediately swept up in work. The former director had left behind a huge mess, and sorting it out kept me too busy to think about anything else. By the time I finally got everything in order, more than a month had flown by. It was only then that I realized Clara and I hadn't spoken in over 30 days. Before, that would have been unthinkable. I used to want to be by her side every single minute, never wanting to spend a day apart. But now that it had actually happened, it felt like no big deal. Life carried on as usual. I felt no discomfort, didn't lose any sleep. Amazingly, during this busy period, I barely thought of her at all. With all the work finally sorted out, I could at last catch my breath. That evening, I took my new department colleagues out for dinner. One of them, who frequently liaises with headquarters, shared some news. Word is that a new big-shot manager, some guy named Evan, just joined the HQ team, he said. Clara personally showed him around the company. Evan, huh? I paused, the name sounding vaguely familiar. It had been a while. Suddenly, it all made sense. I chuckled to myself as the unanswered question that had been nagging at me became crystal clear. Clara showing him around personally? That's a big deal, one of the young women in the department gossiped. How old is he? Is he good-looking? His age should be close to Clara's. Could he be her new boyfriend? I'm not sure, but I thought I heard Clara has a stable boyfriend, another added. Really? Hey, Leo, you used to work at headquarters. Did you ever meet Clara's boyfriend, Saiton? Everyone asked, their eyes turning to me, eager for insider information. I just played dumb. Not really sure, I didn't pay much attention to that stuff. But I think Leo and Clara would look good together, the first colleague chimed in. Like a handsome couple. That photo of you two is quite stunning, you know. I still have it saved on my phone. That statement caught everyone off guard. What? Leo and Clara have a picture together? It's not just the two of them. It's a group shot from a product launch, he clarified. But they stand out the most. I saw it while scrolling through the company's blog a while back. They both looked so great that I saved it. With that, he pulled out his phone to show everyone the photo. They all craned their necks to see. In the picture, Clara was leaning slightly towards me. They do look great together, someone commented. I glanced at the photo and remembered the day it was taken. It was 3 years ago, right after I joined the company. We were at a product launch event. At the time, I had asked Clara to keep our relationship private. Office romances, especially one involving the company president, tend to become the subject of endless gossip, and I didn't want that kind of attention. This had made Clara a bit unhappy for a while, as she complained that she couldn't openly visit me at work or grab a meal with me, that it felt like we were sneaking around. During that launch event, when the media was snapping photos, the designers from our team stood in a row for a group picture. Clara came in last, but instead of taking her expected position in the center, she casually stood right next to me. Mark tried to pull her to the middle, but she refused. "Today's launch is your team's big moment," she had said. "You all should be the stars." As she spoke, she even leaned closer to me. I subtly nudged away, and suddenly I felt her hand grasp mine behind my back. I froze, looking over at her. She was looking forward with a serious, professional smile for the cameras, as if nothing was happening. Little did anyone know that at that very moment, the great Clara was secretly holding the hand of the junior designer next to her. That's how the photo was captured, and later published on the company's blog. Looking back, I had to admit that Clara did love me once, yet time, which often passes in a seemingly uneventful way, holds an incredible and quiet power. It can make love fade until it disappears completely. Over the next few days, I noticed Clara started posting frequent updates on her social media. She was either out riding horses and rock climbing with friends, or indulging in the nightlife at various clubs. It seemed that without me around, she was living her best life. In every single one of those photos, Evan was there, without exception. Clara had never been one to show off her life online. She rarely updated her social media at all. Maybe it was Evan who was sparking this new urge in her to express herself. I found, however, that I wasn't interested in any of it. My mind was preoccupied with new design concepts and product plans. I would just glance at the photos and scroll on. One evening, I was staying late in the office, tweaking a design draft, when my phone rang. The name on the screen gave me a slight pause. It was Clara, who I hadn't heard from in over a month. I answered, and her familiar, low voice came through the line. "Hey, still mad at me, sweetheart?" Standing by the office window and looking out at the city lights, I felt a profound sense of calm. "It's been over a month, but don't you think moving me here without my agreement was worth an explanation?" "I just wanted to give you a better opportunity. You know that," she said. "I get that you didn't want to leave. Parting is hard, and with your stubborn personality, I knew you'd have said no." "So you acted first and planned to explain later?" I countered. "Clara, you know this doesn't align with the company's transfer policies. If I weren't so restrained by my sense of responsibility, anyone else might have just quit over this." "Leo, I was wrong," she admitted. "But I truly meant well. You've done so much for the company, and I see it all. You're skilled and talented, more than capable of standing on your own. You spent 3 years at headquarters, gaining plenty of experience, just waiting for a bigger stage. The branch's design department is your launchpad to reach even greater heights." She was quite the smooth talker. "If I hadn't heard you say with my own ears that you were getting tired of me being around all the time, I might have actually believed you," I said flatly. "I might have even been touched by your supposed good intentions and questioned if I was being too stubborn." I decided to be direct. "Is it because of Evan? The moment he returned, you transferred me away?" "What? How is this about Evan?" She started to protest. "I was saying it's all about your—" Her words were suddenly cut off by a man's voice in the background. "Clara, can I catch a ride with you later?" Even after all these years and over the phone, I recognized Evan's voice instantly. "Are you two having dinner together?" I asked. Without waiting for an answer, I ended the call. I thought for a moment and then sent her a simple text message. "Let's break up." After I got home and showered, I picked up my phone to see dozens of missed calls, all from Clara. Just then, it rang again. It was her. "Leo, what do you mean by that text?" she asked, her voice frantic. "I was clear," I said calmly. "We're done. I'm sorry for moving you without your consent, but I really did it for your own good. Just ask your dad or your brother. Isn't this a great opportunity for you as the design director at the branch?" "Is it really for me? Or for yourself?" I laughed coldly. "Why would you say it like that?" "That night, outside the private room at the club, I heard every word you said," I told her, and then repeated them back to her. A bit tired of having him around all the time. There was a dead silence on her end. Finally, she said, "Leo, listen to me. I'd had a bit to drink that day and said some things I didn't mean. That's not how I truly feel. They say in vino veritas, don't they? The truth comes out with wine," I said. "But it's not just about that one phrase. Over the past 2 years, I could feel your passive attitude towards me all the time." "Clara, just admit it. You're bored, you're fed up, and you can't even stand having me around anymore. I left, just like you wanted. Shouldn't you be happy about that?" There was another long silence on the other end of the line. "I don't agree to the breakup," she finally said, her voice firm. "You're just being impulsive. I'll give you some time. We both need a break to cool down. Leo, I'll reach out to you in a while." "Whatever," I replied. Breaking up isn't like a divorce. I didn't need her consent. For the next few days, Clara's social media posts were all about her getting utterly wasted at various bars. I muted her updates. Out of sight, out of mind. Lately, there has been a ton going on at work. Besides designing new products, our department hired 3 new colleagues. Of the previous designers, only 2 were experienced enough to serve as mentors, so they were each assigned one of the newcomers. The remaining one, a young woman named Nina, ended up with me. I sighed internally, as our team really needed more skilled designers, not trainees. Luckily, Nina was sharp and hard-working, a promising talent. She was also, however, a bit too smooth and slick for her own good. Ever since she started calling me her mentor, she would bring me a cup of hand-brewed coffee from the fancy cafe downstairs every single morning. One afternoon, my office door was open, and she passed by while I was eating. She stopped, surprised. "You're only having bread for lunch?" "I had to rush a report and didn't have time to go out or order food," I explained, pointing at my computer screen. The branch office, unlike headquarters, didn't have its own cafeteria. Sometimes, when I was swamped with work, I would forget to eat until I was starving, so I kept a stash of bread in my desk for emergencies. "Hold on," Nina said, and then darted off. She returned 10 minutes later with a beautifully packaged meal. "This place didn't have a line, so I quickly got this for you. I wasn't sure what you'd like, but it should be better than bread." Seeing the logo on the box, I was speechless. "You know why there's no line at this place, don't you? It's because it's incredibly expensive." "It is?" Her confusion seemed genuine. Thinking about her usual designer attire and the sports car she drove to work, it all clicked. She was definitely from a wealthy family. From that day on, Nina started including me in her daily lunch orders and absolutely refused to accept any payment. "I know money isn't an issue for you, but that's not the point," I told her. "Your family's money was still hard-earned by your parents." She just laughed. "My dad says that back in their day, apprentices would literally bow in respect and bring gifts to their masters on holidays. You're my mentor, so it's only right for me to treat you to lunch. A meal a day is nothing. In fact, my dad thinks I should be giving you a proper gift." "Don't you dare," I threatened lightly, "or I won't take you on as my apprentice anymore." Okay, she said with a pout. "After work, if I didn't leave." Nina didn't leave either. I often had to work late because of the heavy workload. Once you're done with your tasks, you can just head home, I told her. In our company, you aren't forced to stay late just because your boss does. No way, she insisted. I need to learn as much as possible. Rumor has it that only 2 out of the 3 of us will get to stay on after the probation period, and I really want to make it. The more we talked, the more I learned about her. Her family owned the largest local supermarket chain, and they were also heavily invested in real estate, restaurants, and other businesses. All those expensive lunches she ordered came from one of her own family's restaurants. To avoid feeling like I owed her too much, I started treating her to dinner after each time we worked overtime together. One evening, my car was in for maintenance, and after dinner she insisted on driving me home. When we arrived at my building, I thanked her and turned to walk towards my apartment. As I was about to swipe my keycard to get into the building, a figure emerged from the shadows. It startled me so much that I almost screamed. "It's me, Leo!" Clara stepped into the light. "What are you doing here?" I asked, still trying to catch my breath. "How do you even know where I live?" "I'm sorry for scaring you," she said, biting her lip. She explained that she had found out my address from some colleagues at the branch, planning to surprise me. "A surprise?" I replied coolly. "We've broken up, Clara." She lunged forward, enveloping me in a hug. Her familiar, warm scent filled my senses. "Who was that girl just now?" she asked, her voice muffled against my shoulder. "A new colleague," I said, gently pulling away from her embrace. "We're working on a project together." "As the director, you're still mentoring newbies yourself?" "We have a shortage of experienced staff," I explained. "Should I send a few experienced designers from headquarters your way?" she offered. "Don't joke. HQ is also short on designers, my mentor Mark told me." She paused for a moment before speaking again, her voice softer. "It's been so long since I've hugged you. A simple embrace like this still calms me down. The house feels so cold and empty without you. Posting all those pictures of my drunken nights out was just a cry for help. I couldn't get into anything. I even missed my favorite sports. Let's stop fighting, okay? I was wrong. I don't want to break up." I had never heard her speak in such a vulnerable, humble tone. The Clara I knew was always proud and supremely confident. I looked into her dark eyes, in the dim light of the hallway. "I felt it, Clara. You've thought about leaving me before." "I never stopped loving you," she insisted, though her voice trailed off. "It was just a fleeting thought. I thought I was tired of our routine. I forgot what it felt like to be dating someone." We had been stuck together since childhood, growing up as next-door neighbors. We were playing on the same mat before we could even walk. Through kindergarten, elementary, middle, and high school, and even college and graduate school, we were inseparable. For all those years, we were never apart. Suddenly, I realized just how deeply my life was intertwined with Clara's. Even living with your own parents can lead to constant clashes, so how could a relationship without the formal ties of marriage be any different? After making peace with myself about it, I could understand Clara's fatigue. Feelings can't be controlled. I couldn't demand lifelong devotion from her, because I couldn't even promise that for myself. How could I ask it of someone else? "You said it yourself," I told her. "We were just together for too long. It will take time for us to adjust to being apart." "No," she said firmly. "I know my own heart now. Please, don't look for me again," I said as I opened my apartment door, walked in, and left her standing outside. "Leo," her voice called out from behind me. "I miss you so much." I kept walking and didn't stop for a second. Clara seemed to have a lot more free time now. She started coming to the branch office frequently, calling her visits inspecting branch work. The company would hold formal meetings where the department heads, including me, had to report to her. Once, after a meeting ended and everyone else had left, she just sat there in the conference room. "Leo," she called out to me as I was the last one about to leave. "Could you get me a cup of coffee?" She said this while rubbing her temples, looking completely exhausted. Her voice sounded raspy. "Sure," I replied. When I came back from the break room with the coffee, I stopped at the conference room door. Clara was leaned back in her chair with her eyes closed, her breathing steady. She had fallen asleep. I gently opened the door and placed the coffee on the table in front of her. Just as I was about to sneak away, I heard her murmur, "Thank you." I turned around. "You seem really tired. Didn't you sleep well last night?" She chuckled softly. "Are you worried about me? I stayed up all night working on the proposal for the new business expansion in the Middle East, and then drove over 2 hours this morning just to make it to this meeting." I thought about it and replied sincerely, "The branch has a general manager in charge. You don't need to handle everything personally. Like today's preliminary meeting for the bid, you didn't have to come all the way here. Why put yourself through all this?" "Just to see you," she said softly, leaving me speechless. "It's worth it." You're not looking your best right now. Do you want to head back to your hotel to get some rest?" I asked. She shook her head. "No time. I have to head back to the main office now. I've got a 9 p.m. flight to Syria tonight. I'm going on a business trip to the Middle East for about 10 days. Knowing I wouldn't see you for that long, I just had to make a trip here today. Just seeing you can give me the strength to get through the next 10 days. I sighed. Was that really necessary? Half a month later, Clara returned. Her plane landed at the airport in City A, but she didn't even go home. She rushed straight to City C from the airport. When she arrived at the company, it was noon. Nina and I were having lunch together on the company's outdoor terrace. Our casual chit-chat was interrupted by her sudden appearance. "Clara," Nina said, quickly standing up. She looked at Clara, then back at me. I'll leave you two to chat." She left so quickly that she even forgot her lunch, which she had barely touched. Clara sat down in front of me, silent for a moment. "Have you eaten yet?" I asked, breaking the awkward silence. Even though we had broken up, she was still my boss, so I had to maintain a level of respect. She stared at the 2 identical lunch boxes on the table, and the same dishes inside each of them, her expression hard to read. "Did you two order lunch together?" she finally asked, a hint of frustration in her voice. I laughed lightly. "Nina saw me eating just bread in the office that one time, so she insisted on ordering lunch for me ever since. It's from her family's restaurant, and it tastes pretty good. I tried to refuse, but she orders 2 portions every day, and it would be a waste not to eat it. She won't take my money for the meals, so I just return the favor by treating her to dinner during the nights we work late." "You even treat her to dinner?" Clara's tone was clearly displeased. "She treats me, and I treat her back. It's a normal social exchange, you know." "Treating each other back and forth means more contact between you two," she muttered. "What are you trying to imply?" I shot her a look. "She's my apprentice, 5 years younger than me. She's just a kid in my eyes." "But the way she looks at you is not the way a kid looks at someone," Clara said, gritting her teeth. "Women know women." "You're overthinking things," I said, then changed the subject. "By the way, I got you a present," she said, handing me a bag. Inside was an ornate pendant. "It's supposed to be a treasure from a once-lost Middle Eastern country. It's quite historical." "Clara, we're not together anymore," I said, standing up. "I can't accept such an expensive gift." I didn't acknowledge the darkness that crept into her eyes as I spoke. I packed up my lunchbox and walked away quickly. The very next day, the company announced some news. The CEO, empathizing with the hard work of the branch employees and to reward their recent achievements, was improving worker benefits by adding a new, fully staffed canteen to the branch. The canteen would offer diverse and high-quality meals at a much cheaper price than any of the restaurants outside. My colleagues were thrilled. That whole morning, everyone was talking about it, praising Clara as the wisest and most considerate leader. I thought about the identical lunch boxes from the other day and Clara's unhappy expression. I instantly shook my head. No way. Adding a canteen to a branch office isn't a small budget item. Clara, being a shrewd capitalist, wouldn't just whimsically make the company spend so much money for a personal reason like that. She wasn't that naive about relationships. Just as I was dismissing the thought, Clara called me. The performance of the City C branch increased significantly last year, she explained before I could even say anything. The headquarters board has been discussing improving employee benefits for a while now. I suggested building a canteen, and it got full approval. Her voice carried a smug tone as she added, "That way she has no excuse to order lunch for you anymore, and you won't need to repay her by treating her to dinner. It's a win-win." I could almost hear the smirk in her voice. How had I never noticed this childish side of her before? On Saturday morning, I was at home catching up on sleep when Clara's call woke me up. "Are you home today?" she asked. "Yeah, why?" "Nothing, just asking," she said, and then hung up. I tried to go back to sleep, but it was no use. I decided to get up, visit the supermarket, and grab some groceries to make a proper lunch for myself. Just as I finished cooking, my friend Harry called. "Guess where I am?" he asked mysteriously. "Where?" I asked casually. "Open your door." Puzzled, I went to the door and opened it, only to find a huge Lego gift bag blocking the entrance. "Surprise!" Harry popped his head out from behind the bag. "Why are you here?" I asked, pleasantly surprised. He lifted the cake he was holding. "Happy birthday, man." I had completely forgotten that today was my birthday. "Come on in, I just cooked lunch. Let's eat together." I invited him inside. "You can cook?" he asked, full of curiosity. "I always thought you were living a pretty rough life out here." He was eager to try my cooking. During our meal, my parents also video called. They said they figured I was sleeping in and since it was the weekend, and didn't want to disturb me earlier. My parents and my brother all sent their birthday wishes. My parents' gift was a lavish transfer of money, as usual. My brother was even more over the top, announcing that he had bought me an apartment in City C as a birthday gift, right next to my company. Harry said he was super jealous and felt completely unbalanced by my family's generosity, and that I needed to spend the day with him to soothe his hurt feelings. I agreed with a smile. Since moving to City C, I had been so busy with work that I hadn't had any time to explore. It was a good chance to get familiar with the city. I drove Harry straight to the most famous local tourist spots. After a fun morning of sightseeing, I reached into my pocket to take a picture, but it was empty. My phone was gone. I remembered checking the time on it right at the entrance of the spot we were at, so it couldn't have been left in the car. It must have either fallen out of my pocket or been stolen. Harry surmised that the chances of getting it back were slim. I nodded helplessly, accepting my bad luck. I decided I would just buy a new phone in the evening. Since my family had already called me at lunchtime, they probably wouldn't try to call again until later. We visited a few more places in the afternoon, and just as we were about to grab dinner, Harry got a call from his family about some urgent business he had to attend to. I dropped him off at the train station and then went to a phone store. By the time I got my new phone, it was already night, and I would have to wait until the next day to get a new SIM card from the phone company. On my way home, it suddenly began to pour rain. The small complex where I rent an apartment doesn't have a dedicated parking lot. After circling around for a while, I finally found a spot on the street. I quickly parked and ran towards my building with an umbrella. When I got to my front door, I saw Clara leaning against the wall, completely soaked. Seeing me, she rushed over, but then hesitated, looking down at her dripping clothes. Instead of hugging me like she wanted to, she just stood there. "Where were you, Leo? I couldn't reach you. I was going crazy. If you hadn't shown up soon, I was about to contact the police. Didn't you tell me you were supposed to be home today?" Seeing her in such a state, I sighed and unlocked the door. "Go take a shower," I said, handing her some of my loose, comfortable clothes. While the sound of the water ran in the bathroom, I sat on the sofa and started setting up my new phone. Clara came out wearing my clothes, which were snug on her in a way that looked almost comical. She towel-dried her hair as she sat down next to me. "What happened?" she asked. "Why was your phone off all day?" "I went out this afternoon and lost my phone. I just bought this new one and haven't gotten the SIM card for it yet," I explained, waving the new device. Clara exhaled in relief. "Promise me I won't lose you again. Do you know how worried I was when I couldn't reach you? I started fearing that maybe something terrible had happened to you." "You know how that feels, right?" I retorted with a wry smirk. "What do you mean?" "When headquarters released the notice of my transfer, you vanished. Every single time I called, all I got was your voicemail saying you were unavailable. For 5 whole days, you completely ignored me. You didn't take my calls, you didn't return my messages. Do you have any idea how hopeless and abandoned I felt?" Clara paused, her hair drying, a look of shock spreading across her face as she finally realized what I meant. She averted her eyes, a guilty expression settling in. After a long moment, she spoke in a remorseful tone. "I'm sorry. That will never happen again, I promise. From now on, whenever you call, I'll pick up." She then sounded sad as she added, "But you haven't called me in ages." "I'm not asking for your promises," I reminded her. "We already broke up." She lowered her eyes. "Leo, I waited outside your door for 5 hours today, just to give you a birthday surprise." "Don't play the pity card," I said helplessly, trying to change the subject. "It was pouring rain. Couldn't you have found some shelter or just sat in your car?" "I didn't want to stay in the car or leave the entrance because I was afraid I would miss seeing you when you came back. I managed to get in when someone else opened the gate. By the way, your favorite cake got completely drenched in the rain." She then pulled out a set of keys. "I bought an apartment in the complex near your company. You should move in there. This complex isn't very good, it doesn't seem safe. Get your paperwork ready, and we can handle the transfer next week." "Well, that's a coincidence," I said, shaking my head. "No need. My brother already bought me an apartment in that same complex." She sighed. Always a step behind. The rain didn't stop that night, so Clara couldn't leave and ended up sleeping on the sofa. The next morning, when I got up, she was already busy making breakfast in the kitchen. "You're up already?" she said, serving a bowl of noodles. "Go wash up. Breakfast is almost done." It was my first time ever seeing her make breakfast, and to my surprise, it was pretty good. The scallion noodles were aromatic, and I ate a big bowl. She seemed proud of herself. "Not bad, huh? If you like them, I'll make them for you again next time." After breakfast, she cleaned up the kitchen. Just as she finished washing the dishes, her phone rang. It was Evan. "Yes, I didn't come back yesterday," she said into the phone. "I'm in City C for today. Can you explain it to him for me? I'll treat him to a meal tomorrow when I see him. My voice? Oh, it's nothing. Just a bit of a cold." "There's no rain today. You can head back now," I suggested, as she was busy texting a reply. She put away her phone, her tone a bit hurt. "Are you trying to get rid of me?" "I'm just worried Evan might misunderstand the situation." "Misunderstand what?" she asked, then stopped suddenly. "Do you really think there's something going on between me and Evan? Isn't he your white moonlight, the one you could never forget? Isn't he the real reason you transferred me away? Doesn't spending the night here with me complicate things with him?" Clara looked at me blankly. "What white moonlight? I don't understand what you're talking about. Transferring you was my mistake, an impulsive decision. I didn't even know he was coming back to the country." "Stop pretending," I said. "You've liked him since we were in college." "No. Where did you possibly get that idea?" she asked, putting her phone aside, ready to have a serious talk. "What on earth made you think that?" Thinking back, She had never outright said she liked Evan. But with me being her boyfriend at the time, admitting she liked someone else would have made her a cheater. Even if she never said the words, her actions seemed to speak for her. I recalled one particular incident aloud. One day, I saw you standing in the long line at the back gate bakery, buying their famous cookies. I thought they were for me, and I was secretly thrilled, but I never got those cookies. A few days later, I saw a post on Evan's social media. He was showing off the cookies and said a secret admirer had sent them to him. She waited 2 hours in line just to get them for him. The cookies from that bakery were famous, always had a long line, and were in limited supply. It was a grand gesture. Clara and Evan were both on the student council back then, so they spent a lot of time together. I remembered questioning her about it at the time, asking why she was buying cookies for another guy. She completely denied it, saying I must have been seeing things and that she never stood in that line. Clara furrowed her brows, thinking back. "Oh, I remember that now," she said, suddenly sitting up straight. "I lost a tennis match to Daisy back then, and as a penalty, I had to agree to one of her requests. She was the one who liked Evan, so she asked me to stand in line and buy the cookies for her. She was the one who gave them to him." "You were helping Daisy? Then why didn't you just admit it when I asked you about it?" "Because I had lost the match. It was embarrassing," she said with an awkward laugh, reminded of how young and proud she was back then. "You were my boyfriend. How could I let you know that I was inferior to someone else? But that was the only time I ever lost to her. I won every single match after that." "Wait, Daisy liked Evan? How did I not know that?" Daisy was Clara's childhood friend, and we were all pretty close in college. "She didn't just like him. She was head over heels for him," Clara scoffed. "She did everything he said. When she first started chasing him, she gave him a fancy watch. Evan accepted it, but told her he wasn't interested in dating while they were in school and wanted to focus on his studies. He also said he didn't like being the center of attention because of someone pursuing him. That fool Daisy took it as gospel and agreed to keep it a secret. She was pursuing him secretly, giving him gifts all the time. He accepted everything, but never officially said yes to dating her. She thought she could finally be with him after graduation. But before they even graduated, he went abroad. Later, I found out Daisy sent him a ton of money while he was overseas. Then it hit me. I realized something. Daisy liked Evan, but Evan liked you." Clara looked shocked. "No way!" "Back then, I thought you liked him too. And it wasn't just because of the cookies. For a while, you changed your phone's wallpaper. I accidentally saw Evan's phone screen one day and realized you both had the exact same matching wallpaper." "Oh, that wallpaper," she said. "Didn't I explain that to you? It was a prank by Daisy. She secretly swapped the wallpapers for everyone in our dorm room. I'm lazy about things like that, so I never bothered to change it back. Later you asked me to change it, and I did." "So it was Daisy again," I nodded. "But is it possible that Evan asked her to do it? After you changed your wallpaper, Evan changed his to match yours again. Then he made a point of looking at his phone in front of me, I think, to deliberately confuse me." Clara was stunned. I continued, "Plus, when he posted about the cookies, I confronted you. You denied buying them and said you hadn't even seen his post. But when I checked my phone again later, his post was gone. He must have deleted it. So did you really not see it? Or did you see it and deny it out of guilt?" "I really didn't see it," she insisted. "I remember you're not into posting on social media, but you love scrolling through it. If you didn't see it, it must mean Evan limited the post's visibility so that only I could see it." "Your analysis makes sense," Clara slowly nodded. "So, what about Evan working at the firm now? Is that linked to Daisy?" "It really was Daisy's recommendation, I swear," she said. "You know Daisy holds some shares in our firm, and she's my best friend. She asked me to give Evan a job, and I couldn't say no to her." Then, her eyes suddenly widened as she had a realization. "I've been seeing Evan a lot lately because it's always Daisy who invites me out, and he just tags along. But he always tries to chat with me, and I've been annoyed by it several times, and he's always staring at me. I see now. He knows you were transferred. He probably heard from Daisy that you and I broke up, and now he wants to swoop in. Leo, you have to believe me. I was never swayed by him. I've never even been alone with him. I calmly said, whether I believe it or not doesn't matter anymore. We broke up, right? Why are you still here? Go home. If you don't leave, I'm checking into a hotel. By Monday morning, as soon as I got to work, I received a message from Clara. I fired Evan. I've made sure he has no opportunity to approach me ever again, and I gave Daisy a piece of my mind. Her stupidity got me into so much trouble. Leo, I'm not interested in anyone else. I put my phone down and got back to work without responding. But my silence didn't dampen her enthusiasm. She messaged me every single day, sending little jokes or random photos, like a strange cloud formation she saw. In the evenings, she would send a full rundown of her day, listing everything she did, what she ate, and who she saw. She always ended with, "Home before 10 p.m. today. Another day of early to bed and early to rise." Looking at these messages, I felt nothing but a sense of exasperation. I used to have to coax Clara endlessly just to get her to sleep early and live a healthier lifestyle. She used to stay up late drinking and partying, and even ended up hospitalized for liver and stomach issues. The doctor had warned her that she needed to take good care of her health, but she never took my advice seriously. No matter how much I talked, she wouldn't listen. Later, I got angry and ordered her to be home by 10 p.m. every night. I still remember the amused look in her eyes when she heard that, as if she was mocking me for being full of myself. "Who are you to tell me what to do?" She didn't say it, but I got the message loud and clear. Back then, I still loved her deeply, and seeing that look made me feel awful. I didn't want to upset her, so I never dared to speak to her in that commanding tone again. She continued to live recklessly, staying out late at nightclubs with her friends. She did whatever she wanted, whenever she wanted, without feeling the need to check in with anyone. Over the past couple of years, she had stopped taking my words seriously and didn't seem to care about my feelings anymore. She was the only person I had ever dated, so I had no clue how other couples handled these things. When I first noticed her growing distant, I panicked. I was terrified that she didn't love me anymore. But after being ignored and given the cold shoulder day after day, and even experiencing the silent treatment for extended periods, my love for her slowly started to fade away. Until there was nothing left, I didn't love her anymore. That's when I decided to break up. Now that I was gone, she suddenly remembered all the things I used to say. She even started following my advice, like going to bed early and waking up early. But a heart that has been hurt doesn't heal so easily. Her newfound devotion was too little, too late to win me back. It was a Friday night, and I was stuck working late again. I was trying to wrap everything up so I could head to City A for a couple of days to visit my parents. I finally finished up around 9 p.m., shut down my computer, turned off the lights, and headed out. Just as I was leaving, Nina was also wrapping up her work. She stood up and said, "Let's go together." Maybe it was the long hours I had been working recently, but I felt a bit woozy. As I was stepping down the stairs from the office building's main entrance, I slipped on a tiny, discarded piece of watermelon rind. The world spun for a second. Thankfully, Nina caught me just in time, saving me from tumbling down the entire flight of stairs. My ankle, however, didn't get away unscathed. A sharp, searing pain shot through it. Nina took me to the hospital. The doctor said it was a mild fracture and that I needed a cast. My plans to go home for the weekend were ruined. I didn't want to worry my parents, so I just made up some excuse about having urgent things to do at work and told them I wouldn't be coming back this weekend. With my leg in a cast and needing to use crutches, I was pretty much stuck at home. Nina insisted on helping me out. After some back and forth, I reluctantly agreed to let her bring me meals 3 times a day. But every time she dropped off food, She would linger around my apartment for ages before finally leaving. On Sunday at noon, after Vivian brought lunch, she pulled the same stunt again. "The floor looks kind of messy," she said. "Let me mop it up for you before I go. That robot vacuum is pretty useless compared to a real person." She then spent ages mopping the same small spot on the floor for almost 30 minutes. After I urged her repeatedly, she finally put down the mop and reluctantly headed for the door, looking back at me with every step. "Nina," I finally called out to her, "I just got out of a long-term relationship, and I'm not looking for anything new right now. Plus, there's a 5-year age gap between us." Nina's intentions were obvious to anyone with eyes. I decided it was best to address it directly. "Don't waste your time on me." She stayed silent for a few seconds. "Your ex-girlfriend was Clara, right?" "How did you know?" "Well, it's kind of hard to miss," she said. "The way she keeps visiting our branch and the way she looks at you is a big giveaway. I bet the rest of the design team has noticed it too." "I'm not getting back together with her," I stated plainly. But before she could celebrate, I added, "But I'm also not interested in you. I'm focusing on my career right now." Nina looked defeated for a moment, but then she pouted defiantly. "You can say no all you want, but I'm going to keep trying." She stormed out of the apartment just as the doorbell rang. Nina opened the door, and there stood Clara. With gritted teeth, Clara asked her, "What are you doing here?" Nina smugly replied, "Taking care of my mentor. He has a sprained ankle." "Taking care of Leo? He sprained his ankle?" Clara's face went pale. She brushed past Nina and walked quickly over to me. "Leo, this looks serious. How did this happen? What did the doctor say? Do you need to be hospitalized?" I looked towards the door. "Nina, you should head out now." Nina caught my hint and left, but not without saying over her shoulder, "I'll come by with dinner later." Once the door closed, Clara knelt beside me, gently examining my injured and casted ankle. After a while, she looked up, her eyes filled with a deep sadness. "Leo, it hurts so much to see you like this. And it hurts even more knowing that you're hurt, and I wasn't the one you told. You used to contact me first for everything. Now you're treating me like a complete stranger." Tears welled up in her eyes as she spoke. "It's all my fault. I deserve this. I've been such a jerk to you these past 2 years, turning your heart cold. I often think about my actions from the last couple of years. I ignored you. I only answered your calls when I felt like it, and I completely disregarded your messages. Only now that you're acting the same way towards me do I finally realize how much pain you must have been in. I've been so stupid. It kills me to think about how I could have treated you like that. I was supposed to be the one to make you happy for the rest of your life." I just sighed. "It's all in the past. What's done is done." Clara's expression turned pained, and she buried her head in the cushions of the couch. "I messed it all up," she sobbed. "I could have been so happy. Leo, I didn't appreciate you. My life has been too easy. We were together for so long, and you were always so good to me that I got careless and took you completely for granted. I thought I was tired of it, that I wanted to break free and have my own space. We've never been apart since we were kids, and I was confused, thinking that I had lost my freedom. But after you left, I finally realized how much I truly need you. Without you, every day is just dull and endless. I seem to have lost interest in everything. I can't get motivated, and I just feel like I'm drifting through life. Even landing that major multi-million-dollar project in the Middle East doesn't excite me. Without you to share the joy with, it all feels meaningless. During the day, I think about you constantly and can't focus on my work. At night, I toss and turn, unable to sleep. Regret eats away at my heart during countless sleepless nights. The biggest mistake I ever made was thinking I knew best and transferring you away. Without you by my side, I'm desperate to see you every single day. This time you got hurt, and it wasn't me who stayed with you at the hospital. It was another woman. Do you know how jealous I am of her? I don't want to go back to City A. I'm scared that if I leave, Nina will swoop in and take my place. She's taking care of you when you're at your most vulnerable. What if you fall for her? You're an incredible person. Besides Nina, there must be other women who are after you. How could I have been so stupid to think it was okay to send you so far away, all alone? If you were still with me, no other woman would be a threat. I would push them all away. But now that we're apart, I'm constantly worried, afraid that someone else will try to win your heart. What a mess I've made for myself. Leo. Clara suddenly looked up at me, her eyes pleading. Can we please get back together? Give me another chance. I don't want to keep suffering like this. I thought for a moment, and then replied honestly. Love is a weird thing, you know. It's not something you can control. If I still loved you like I did before, I wouldn't want to be away from you for a second, no matter what you did. But the truth is, Clara, I don't love you anymore. Do you understand that feeling? It's like you just can't move my heart anymore. I don't think about you out of the blue. I don't worry when you're hurt or sick. I don't feel sorry for you when you're tired. You're like an ordinary friend to me now, and I can't force myself to be in a romantic relationship with someone who is just a friend, someone I don't love. Fresh tears welled up in Clara's eyes. Please stop, she whispered. I feel like I'm being torn apart slowly. You don't love me anymore. Who would have thought there would ever be a day like this? I dared to hurt you so much back then because I was counting on your love for me. I was so sure that you would never leave, that you would never let go. Now, I'm finally paying the price for my arrogance. Leo, you don't love me anymore, and not getting back together is what I deserve. I just have one request. Please don't fall for someone else too soon, okay? I'm going to do my best to make you love me again. I gave a faint, tired smile. It seems I've lost the ability to love anyone. I'm not looking to get close to anyone else. I just want to focus on my work. That's good to hear, Clara said with a sliver of relief in her voice. That means I still have a chance. A year later, I quit my job. Why? Clara asked me when I handed her my resignation. Didn't you say that the branch in City C was a stepping stone that you gave me? I replied. Since it's a stepping stone, I'm naturally going to use it to jump to something bigger and better. Starting my own design studio has been my plan for a long time. I never wanted to work for you forever. Having my own business is much more appealing, don't you think? Besides, my family fully supports me going out on my own. My brother even gave me a significant amount of startup money. I'm not trying to stop you from going solo, Leo, she said softly. You know I'll support you no matter what you decide to do. I'm just a bit hurt that you never talk to me about your future plans anymore. There was no need to, I said bluntly. Clara seemed to have gotten used to the way I spoke to her now, and didn't get angry. Your brother gave you startup funds? I'll give you some too. Startups are tough, especially in the beginning, and they burn through cash fast. No thanks, I replied coldly. By the way, she hesitated for a moment. After you left the company, Nina quit too. Is she going to help you with your startup? No, I said, shaking my head. She thought about it, but I turned her down. She's a proper rich kid, and money isn't a problem for her. She just wanted to work for a few years while she's young and pursue her own dreams for a bit. Her family won't let her stay out there playing around forever. Eventually, she has to go back and take over their business. Clara sighed with relief. I'm glad she's not with you. On the day my studio opened, lots of friends and former colleagues sent flowers. 2 large baskets stood out from the rest. One was filled with delicate pink roses, the other with vibrant red ones. My new assistant asked, Leo, these 2 look incredibly expensive. Should we set them aside separately? No, I said. Just jot down who they're from and mix them in with the rest. Some friends came by to congratulate me in person, many of them potential clients for the future. I walked over to greet them with a genuine smile. As the bright sunlight poured into my new space, my heart felt completely free and wonderfully clear.